a secret side in plain sight. Where the streets are empty, that's where we run. Everyday people do everyday things, but I can't be one of them. I know you hear me now, we are a different kind. We can do anything. We could be heroes. We could be heroes. Me and you. We could be heroes. We could be heroes. Me and you. We could be. Anybody's got the power. They don't see it 'cause they don't understand. Spinning round and round for hours. You and me, we got the world in our hands. Everyday people do everyday things, but I can't be one of them. I know you hear me now, we are a different kind. We can do anything. We could be heroes.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. If you could all please take your seats, I'd like to introduce the UMASS Boston Nursing Class of 2014.
We go hide away in daylight. We go undercover, wait out the sun.
I'd like to welcome to the podium Dean Mulligan.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Before I start my remarks, I want to thank Dr. Mary Nurenberg, who is not here. She's the Associate Dean. Dr. Rosetta DeMarco, who is the Chair. Doctors Joan Meredith Schick and Judith Walsh, who are the interim directors for the undergraduate program. Dr. Diana Shea, she is the RNBSN director. And then I want to also thank all the faculty who are here, Janice Faust, Emily Jones, Katie Capel, Ellen, Peter, I'm not going to call you faculty yet, okay? Ellen and Teresa. So I want you to give them a great applause. Thank you. I really prepared this speech, but it seems like I'm having a little hard time reading it because my glasses are not with me. So bear with me if I make any mistakes. I also want to thank our staff who have worked so hard to make this happen. In addition, I want to also thank the students who have made this happen. The students. Without everybody's support, we would have had such a great, great event. Look around, there are almost no seats. Am I correct? There's no chair left around. So this is wonderful. However, most importantly, I want to thank the parents, the grandparents, sons, daughters, and significant others for being here to celebrate the accomplishments of the graduates. Can we please give them a hand? I do see the excitement in your eyes, and I also see the relief in the eyes of your significant others. Finally, they graduated. Hey? They are going to get a job, and they're not going to be on my payroll, correct? While you were on your journey learning, I want you to know that you learned from the very best. You were supported by the very best student services, the very best faculty, and the very best university. You were inspired by our dynamic administrators. You absorbed our university values and observed our commitment to help the most vulnerable. You became a stronger member of the local and the global community in our beautiful city of Boston and a beautiful college campus. If you wait a couple more years, or if you want to come back, we are going to have a beautiful new building, so in 2 years. This is a defining moment in your life. Today you are ready to move to a greater and better places and enjoy limitless opportunities in your journey toward being the professional we have helped you to become and you have wanted to become. I hope we helped you build a strong moral character. I hope we have helped you become an exemplary citizen, advocating for social justice and providing humanistic care. I hope we have helped you become a caring member of our local and global community ready to change the world. And I hope you become CNHS alumni strong, because I want you to be very committed for the school and college or the department that helped you become who you are. For most of you, graduation day is one of the best days of their lives. For some, it is a one-time event. For others, it is the beginning of a pursuit of one or more advanced degrees. I would love to see most of you come into the master's and the PhD program. Not all of you at the same time, but some of you. When you leave us, I want you to aim high, work hard, make the impossible possible, and enjoy life to its fullest. In conclusion, I want you to think bigger, care deeper, serve better, work smarter, play better, and live happier. Congratulations. I do not want to forget Peter Karras, who is waiting impatiently to be recognized. Thank you.
everybody. By way of introduction again, my name is Rosanna DeMarco, and I'm the chair and I'm a professor of nursing here at the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. I've been thinking about all of you guys for a long time, and I was thinking a lot about you today. I got up like you did, and I got my cup of coffee, which I call Italian strong, and got dressed and got on the road, you know, that beautiful expressway? And we were going about 12 miles an hour, and I was looking at the car in front of me, and the car in front of me was a Jeep, and across the back of the Jeep, the word compass was written. Must be the name of the Jeep, huh? Type of Jeep. And I started thinking about compasses. And I was thinking about compasses because I was thinking about you. And I was thinking about what is a compass? Well, what it is that, you know, a gadget, for those of us who are gadget people, it also is a very important tool because, as you know, the compasses we have, the ones that we use, help us get to the north, to the east, to the west, and the south. And then I started to think about all the compasses in your life, that there are plenty of them, and a lot of them are here. The people that have gotten you to the east, and the west, and the north, and the south. Some of those wonderful people our dean has talked to you about just a few moments ago. And I know that you have deep appreciation for them, for all that they've done for you. And some of them might even be some of the faculty and the staff that are here on the stage with me. But I also wanted to tell you that one of the most inspirational things for all of us tonight is the fact that you probably don't know that you're a compass for us. That really what you do is you make us be better teachers, you make us be more committed to our profession, you give us hope, and you give us a sense of always, if you think about UMass Boston where it sits in the harbor, going east, especially if you're in the western part of the state, or west of us. So we're hoping that you always remember, wherever you are, to maybe hold a compass in your pocket, and remember that all of us have been blessed with direction and help and support. And we know that you've had tremendous opportunities here, but I want you to know, sincerely, you have no idea how many opportunities you've given us. Thank you so much. So now I'd like to invite to the podium Alicia Lawton. Alicia is, they seem to know you, Alicia. Alicia, as probably many of you know, is the president of the Student Nurses Association. Alicia?
This is pretty exciting, guys. Sorry, give me a second to get myself all set up. This ceremony is a time to reflect on the journey we have all taken together. To get to this point, each of us have needed 3 attributes in abundance: compassion, commitment, and courage. The path to becoming a nurse begins with compassion, an earnest desire to help others in their time of need. Once we embarked on this journey, it was this quality that knitted us together, forming bonds of friendship and camaraderie that were essential to completing our educations. Because of this compassion, every time we stumbled along the way, there was an entire class worth of arms, ready to help us up and dust us off. The second attribute we needed was commitment. This quality pushed us to work harder than we thought we could, to achieve, at times, what seemed impossible. We should take pride in these accomplishments. We're here to celebrate and rest easy knowing that we have demonstrated the commitment needed to achieve anything we set our minds to. Finally, none of this would have been possible without courage. At first, we needed the courage to enroll in nursing school. For some of us, that meant switching career paths, substituting this new dream for an old one. For others, this meant moving to a new town, a new state, a new country. It took courage to walk into clinical for the first time, especially for those who had no prior healthcare experience. And it is this courage that will allow us to powerfully advocate for our patients in the future. We will be great nurses and great leaders. These same attributes that got us to this day will continue to serve us throughout our careers. We will need our courage to advocate for our patients, for each other, and for a better healthcare system. We will need our commitment to allow us to overcome any challenges we experience along the way. And above it all, our compassion that has and will continue to make every day we don those scrubs worthwhile. Because it is our compassion that lets us see the fear behind an angry patient's words, or the look in someone's eyes that says, I need you to stay for a few more minutes. It is the compassion that will help us comfort each other after hard days. And it is the compassion shown by each of you to your fellow classmates that will bind us together forever. If there's one person who is a paragon of all of these attributes, it's Dr. Donna White. She has dedicated her career to working with and fighting for a challenging and underserved patient population. Dr. White is currently the addiction specialist for the Lemuel Shattuck Hospital. After graduating from Boston City Hospital School of Nursing, she earned a BSN from Curry College and a master's from UMASS Boston. She is a licensed drug and alcohol counselor, is certified in chemical dependency and addictions nursing, and is certified by the American Nurses Credentialing Center as a clinical nurse specialist in public health nursing. Dr. White has received numerous awards, commendations, and was recently inducted as a board-certified fellow at the American Academy of Experts in Traumatic Stress. She has lectured at many facilities and agencies and is a recognized leader in the field of addictions, impaired practice and peer assistance, and healthcare professional stress. Please welcome me in joining please join me in welcoming Dr. White.
All right, where's my friend Sarah? I don't want to touch someone else's computer and do this wrong. It's always hard to hear myself introduced. I never feel like that's me. I'm a kid from D Street in Southie that grew up over there. We used to play here before UMass was here. We used to ride our bikes when it was the city dump. Does anybody remember that? Yes. We all did. But I am a graduate of UMass Graduate School of Nursing, and I know she's not here tonight, but if Marion Winfrey were here, I would give her all the accolades to my career. If it were not for Marion Winfrey, I don't think I would have graduated. And I just touched it. This here was, first of all, I'd like to thank the dean and the student body. And where is my Alexandra? Alexandra, I wanted to give you a special present. That's a real Yankee Candle, Alexandra. That's not an AC Moore wrapper. I wanted to thank the university for having me here. It's always a joy. Most of you know I will always come back for students. I will do anything. When Linda Duma asked me to come back and speak on addictions or teach the course for her to have a break, I am here. I will do anything for the University of Massachusetts, Boston. I will. And may I say to all of you as graduates, you need to think the same. You need to mentor those who come after you. So what I thought today, when I called Alexander, I said, do you want me to just stand here and talk? I think you've had lectures for a lot of semesters. Or would you like a PowerPoint? You want to hear a little something about nursing? So I put together some of the history of nursing, probably a lot that you don't know. It's a proud service of humanity. You know that. And you know all about who the profession is. But tell me, someone in the audience, the students, tell me why you picked UMass. Anybody. I have a present for you if you tell me. It's not a candle, trust me. If you don't, it's going to be like professorship. I'm going to go down there and pick on you. right here. Yeah, why'd you pick UMass?
My city, I live there with, my cause. My city, I live in South Bend.
You're Boston grown?
Well, just north of the city, yeah.
Sort of. What's your name? Michael, I have a present for you. Michael, that's a carnelian, and the ancient Egyptians believed if you carried a carnelian into battle, it would give you the strength to be a great warrior. And that's what we are. We are warriors in healthcare. I picked UMass because it was reasonable for tuition. When I went to nursing school, which was that symbol right there, which is the pin that I wear, and I have a couple of Boston City graduates over there, the alumni, we are diploma graduates. Diploma graduates are 3-year hospital graduates, and I'll show you where we went to school. But for us to go to Boston City Hospital, now you're going to cringe when you hear this, for us to go to Boston City Hospital School of Nursing for 3 years, tuition, room, board, food, lectures, everything, was $396. And you wonder why we picked Boston City Hospital School of Nursing. Now this UMass Boston, you take this for granted, but whenever I go to other states and I tell them that I'm part of the University of Boston, the Massachusetts University, they just gasp, like, oh, wow. And then I hear about the flagship in Amherst, and I say, no, let me clarify this, Boston. Make no mistake, this is where we went to nursing school. We lived here for 3 years. It's very different from a collegiate setting. Anybody, we don't have to answer it now, but why do you want to be a nurse? Do you ever think about it? Oh, you're so busy, you don't get to think about it. Would you choose it again, if you had the chance? Most of you would. Where's Christine? Where's the vice president? Where are you? There she is. I told Christine, have you thought about giving up nursing and being a model? Hygeia, anybody know this? Who Hygeia was? The ancient goddess of hygiene. Father was the god of medicine. It's where a lot of what you do comes from Latin and Greek. And this is where the symbol of the snake and healing comes into it. The common traits in nursing are what? Passion. Don't you know everybody who's passionate? Look at you. Look around you. Look how excited you are to be a nurse. Determination. You're known as fixers. You have persistence, attention to detail, don't you? If it's not a 4.0, what are you doing? You're banging on their door. What do I have to do to change that objective? I have students who have a 4.3 average. What the hell is that? 4.0 isn't enough? You have to get more? It's that persistence. Don't you have an odd sense of humor? You do. Don't you laugh at things that no one else really finds funny? And don't you baste your turkey with a 50cc syringe? I know. Or you're singing happy birthday in the bathroom while you wash your hands and no one else, what? Is it their birthday? No one else knows. This is the College Board's definition of how they define nursing. You'll encourage patients to get well, and sometimes you will have to help them let go. And that's the tough part of our job. I just spoke the other night at Children's Hospital. And I said, you know, we're all where we belong. I don't belong at Children's. I'd either be playing all day with the children or crying. So think about why you chose it. You will remember today for the rest of your career. You all diploma grads, don't you remember your getting? As clear as yesterday? Isn't your getting more important to you than graduation? Why? Because it's who you are. You're a nurse. Graduation is everything. You're in there with the geologists and everybody else. But here it's you. It's what you do. And the people beside you, they know what you're doing. And your families are so proud of you. Look at all the flowers ready to be given to you, and the balloons and the pictures. Your family has lived through your 4 years or 8 years or whatever it's taken you. Anybody take longer than 4 years? It took me 8 years when I went back to school. Because they gave us no credit as a 3-year diploma grad. We had to start all over again. So I was nurse manager in a NICU, and then I had to go back and knock on doors as a little student in my green uniform. Florence Nightingale. If you don't know the significance of what a pinning is, it comes from her. Florence Nightingale actually pinned her best nurses. That's where the whole tradition comes from. She was quite a woman. If you ever get to read her life, read the career that she developed for caring. She was a statistician. She was a public health advocate. I won't go into all of this, but she was a visionary. Florence Nightingale was a visionary. We make fun of all of her name, and people call her Flo, but when you really read her life, it's amazing. And a lot of other people I'm going to show you. Look at this quote from her. "I never gave or took any excuse." She's quite a woman. This is Lillian Wald, the mother of public health nursing. If anyone in this room today has health insurance, they can credit Lillian Wald because she formed a partnership with Metropolitan Life Insurance. It was her. Does anybody in this country even know that? Probably not. This is Lillian a little bit later. Someone should have taught Lillian how to dress. That hat has to be. But Lillian took a look at what happened where people live, and she brought nursing out into the community. So it wasn't just hospitals. Lillian taught us to be nurses where people live. And one of the things she said is she was appalled at one of the richest countries in the time of her life at how people lived. Don't you see poverty today? That's appalling in the richest country in the world. What will you do as future nurses to change that? Mary Eliza Mahoney, the first black African-American nurse to graduate from New England Hospital for Women and Children, now known as Dimmock Street Health Center. Can you only imagine the racism that this woman faced? And yet only she and a few others graduated. Think the persistence, the attention to detail, the dominance, the caring that this woman had to finish the work. I was born at that hospital, and when I told my students that I was born at that hospital, one of them asked, "Was she there when you were born?" I said, "I'm old, but I'm not that old." Now, Mother Mary Ann Paul Pickerdike, I think I would have changed my name a little bit here, but, you know. She's a rough-looking thing, isn't she? She's fierce. How'd you like to have her as a professor? But you know what? This woman was so loved by the soldiers that she cared for. She was the only one that General Sherman would allow to march in the camp up the front. The only one, the only woman. Edith Cavell, you don't even know her. No one even knows who this woman is. And in World War I, she helped soldiers on both sides escape. And for that, the Nazis executed her. Clara Mass, she led human experimentation. It's why we have the knowledge about yellow fever. And she laid the groundwork for research in human experimentation. Hildegard Peplow, if anyone wants to go into psychiatric nursing, Hildegard laid the groundwork for all of us in relational nursing and how to relate to people. Now, Mary Guerin was a nurse who worked with Dr. Elma Salvet. And Mary Guerin was a graduate of Boston City Hospital School of Nursing. And what Mary did was lay the groundwork in documentation, how to work with people who are mentally ill. And that book was published. And that center is now known as Mass Mental Health Center. The American Nursing Association started in 1896. Nobody even knows it's that old. Now, nurses during wartime, you have Red Cross. They were always there. If you look at the pictures of the Red Cross nurses, they look very motherly, and that's how they advertise to get people into the Red Cross to go to war, for nurses to go to war. Dorothea Dix provided hope for all who suffer from mental illness. And she found people living in cages. The mentally ill lived in cages and cells. Margaret Chase was a Red Cross nurse and eventually became a famous congresswoman from Maine. Our early roots have their basis in religiosity, militarism, and self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice means you give up everything. Don't you feel like you've done that for 4 years? So do you want to go for coffee Friday? No, I can't. I have a pharmacology test on Monday, I have to study. You know, and for the first time, you're going to be able to read a book and not feel like you have to yellow highlight something in it. Look at the stamps. Do you even know you have a stamp? That nursing has its own stamp. And we do. And look what's on there. The gift of self. That you give of yourself. Now, Florence Nightingale said, unless we are making progress in our nursing every year, we're going to go back. Really? Okay, you old diplomas, do you want to go back? Miss Catherine Margaret, do you want to go back to the old way? How about that? Do you notice they all have the same hat on? That's a uniform. I can't even imagine dressing like that, let alone working like this. Now, the old days, the good old days. So when the older nurses say to you, we need to go back to the old days. Really? As a student, I had to wash the floor at the end of the shift. Didn't you, over there? Fold the linen, serve the meals, stock the treatment room, wash catheters and syringes, and then autoclave them. We had to mix medications. As students, we mixed TPN. And then threw a cc of vitamins in there to make it yellow. Am I exaggerating? And then we had to wash down the beds after the discharge. So if you want to go back to the old days, go ahead. I don't want to go back there. We don't belong there. We are a professional science. Sexism in the profession, you know, contrary to the belief system, when you look at nursing, it was a male-dominated field for most of human history. When the world's first nursing school opened in India in 250 BC, only men, Michael, were considered pure enough to be nurses. How about that, sisters? The American Academy for Men in Nursing was founded in 1971. That's not a long time ago. On TV, there's a show where they're called nurses. If that bothers you, do something about it. Sexism was also used. Look at this picture, where they would recruit people. I don't know anyone in nursing that wore a low-cut shirt like that. Never. You never saw it. Wrapped up in the flag, trying to get people in. What did it mean for the nurse? It meant if they wanted to get married, self-sacrifice. They left the profession. They didn't work there anymore. If they had children, you could never use the word pregnant. Did you know that? Way back, you were not allowed to use the word pregnant. They left the profession. Entry requirements. I work with a nurse, she's now deceased, but we sat around one day and we talked about entry requirements for our nursing schools. She had to sign a statement for her nursing school that she was a virgin. Now granted, she was a Canadian Catholic, so maybe that was the issue, I don't really know. So you know our next question. Did you sign that paper? But just think how invasive, how intrusive that is to ask someone about their personal life like that. Women should become nurses and men should become doctors, not the reverse. Roles were varied and diverse at that time. So, inherent values in nursing are these. Respect. Isn't this you? Isn't this what you pride yourself on? Years ago, in World War II, nurses answered the call like that. As soon as World War II started, World War I also, but World War II more so, nurses answered the call in droves. 74,000 women served in the American Army and Navy Nurse Corps in World War II. That's a lot of women to sign up. There were also men, but they were very quiet about it. Now, Frances Slanger, if you don't know who Frances Slanger is, she was a Boston woman. She graduated from Boston City Hospital School of Nursing, our alumni. We just created an award in her name. She was the first nurse killed in World War II. She gave her life so that others could live. Hospitals took on the role to educate nurses. This is where you come down with, you know, the diploma grads. Was it self-serving? It was a need that was filled at the time. Nurses were considered quiet as a profession and existed to care for patients and serve an institution, not medicine, as some people allege. And then it began to change. More men began to enter nursing, and the Coconut Grove fire, way back during World War II, is when people saw nursing for what it really could do. Over hundreds of people were burned alive in this nightclub because the exit doors that you see right here that push out didn't happen back then. The doors opened inward, so people were locked in and were burned alive. Those that were able to escape were lined out in the city of Boston, and it was nurses that took saline and just poured it on their skin. And we learned a new way how to take care of burn victims because of nurses. The predominance was sent to Boston City Hospital. We were socialized to be good, and the salary and the wages was still very low. In Vietnam, nurses also answered the call. Many worked also in the VA. That handsome stud muffin over here is my husband. He's horrified. He's outside waiting. He's horrified that his picture is in this. The decade of upheaval. If you take a look at this, this is where nursing theory emerged as a basis for our work. Do you understand nursing theory? Do you get it? Jean Watson's my particular favorite. Anybody like Jean Watson? Jean Watson, her theory is about caring and compassion. That's what she read earlier, about compassion. That's who you are. Now, in the 70s to the 90s, you saw things happening. What I want you to see is this woman here. Anne Hargraves, in the red, is a living legend. Way back in the 60s, actually the late 50s, Anne saw that you needed a degree in nursing, not a diploma grad. She told everybody, you need to go on to a university level and get a degree, what you have. What you are earning today was so far-reaching for nurses in the late 50s and the 60s. It just wasn't something that happened, and yet Anne saw that that had to be the basis for who we are. That has to be the groundwork. Why is educational entry so important? Because different styles of learning require guidance and mentoring. Everybody's learning nursing different today. It isn't good or bad, it's just different. This is what we look like today. We're different. And some people will criticize the pin because they say, well, most of us wear scrubs or lab coats or whatever. We don't even wear the pin. It doesn't matter. You've earned it. You want it. It represents UMass Boston. This was one of our professors. She became a lawyer. It was unheard of for nurses to become lawyers. They're now legal consultants. This woman here, some people work with her. Roberta Gately, she's a Boston City grad. This woman has been to Afghanistan and other war-torn countries solely to help children. No political motive whatsoever, but only to help children. She received the Humanitarian Award a few years ago from Mass Nurses. This man here on the Boston Marathon, he's a surgical ICU nurse, pal of mine. Adam helped the people at the Boston Marathon. He had to stop pulling glass out of their skin because they needed it for evidence. How does that impact us? We take that home with us. That's what we do. So how did we go from such a noble legacy to this nonsense? Have you seen these? Does this bother you when you go to Hallmark? I buy them all. I buy every card like this that I can find, and then I write to the company. My daughter called me and she said, oh, Ma, there's a new TV show on. You're going to love it. It's about a nurse who's feisty. What she was trying to say is, this nurse is like me. And I said, I was horrified. This nurse is sleeping with the pharmacist to get drugs. I mean, it's just a bad show. So what do you do? If you've seen it, what do you do with this? Do you just switch the channel? Do something. Martin Luther King said, the day we become silent is the day we begin to die. Speak up. Philosophical roots of your profession, this is you. You're ethically bound. You do the right thing. You know what it is. You have respect for others. Don't ever forget, the backbone of who you are is compassion. You're the witnesses every day to the human spirit, and that's why, how many years running? Is it 11 years running? You're #1 in the Gallup polls. You get a little grouchy. I know nurses, I see them all the time. But that's because you're taking home the pain, the suffering, sadness, pathos, and tragedy of the work. But people know who you are, and they respect the work you do. It isn't about what nursing is going to do for us. It's how we're going to make it better. Nurses always seek the betterment for others. And Dr. Seuss is saying, you can steer yourself in any which way you choose. It's up to you. Become active. Give service to your profession. Join your alumni. Give back to UMass Boston. Share your expertise. Follow your heart. Recognize excellence. Be happy for you and your colleagues. Your turn will come. Some stresses you face as new grads. Orienting a new employee to work with others who resist evidence-based practice. They don't even like the term. Transitioning as a nurse who's learned a lot online to feeling competent. That's tough. That's tough to do. Developing competency, as a nurse, when you may have attended different types of education. You may meet other nurses with more degrees than you, and they let you know it. Have you met them yet? I meet them all the time. It isn't about initials after your name. It's about human spirit. It's about what you do. And learning about the dangers of social media. Be careful of social media. Jane Watson said to me at Boston Medical Center, your life is a journey. It is. Everything you do is a journey. Everything brings you somewhere. According to Jane Watson, you are where you are supposed to be. Whatever that is. The future, technology is going to change your world. Multifaceted teaching strategies, and all of it will change. Hasn't it changed just in the years you've been here? I've seen everything change in nursing. Cultural diversity and the understanding of its importance will be enhanced, and should be. Accountable care will make us more responsible. We should use appreciative inquiry and research. Digital storytelling will change what you do. And here's Martin Luther's quote. I love this quote because it says to you, do not be silent, speak up. Be who you are. You know the right of what you have to do. I will tell you this, a group of students, my daughter, I have 3 daughters. One teaches deaf children, one works with people with disabilities, and the other is a banker. Us 3 don't talk to the banker too much. But my daughter, who teaches the children, sent me this. And this is a real story. A group of little 2nd graders were asked, can you name the 7 wonders of the world? Could you name the 7 wonders of the world? Well, the little guys got together and they came up with, I could get as far as Egypt's pyramids and the Taj Mahal, and that's it. And I like what they put. They put the Empire State Building on there. So they had 7. One of the teachers noticed that one little girl was struggling. And she went to the little girl and she said, what's wrong? And the little girl was just so puzzled, and she says, there's just so many. So many? Can you think of so many? So the teacher said to her, tell us what you have, and then maybe we can help. So the little girl stood up and read, I think the 7 wonders of the world are to see things around me, to hear my friends, to touch stuff I like, to eat my favorite foods, to feel happy, to laugh at fun things, and to love my family. It's a true story. What are you in the 2nd grade? 8? The room grew quiet, just like this, because the teacher recognized that a child crystallized what most of us lose sight of. And I want to share with you what a woman once said to me in the arrogance of my youth. She said to me, and I hope I have all the words right, you will never be rich, but you will be given the riches of witnessing the beginning of life with each breath. You will never be poor, since the richness of those who die in your presence will touch your spirit for your entire life. So some lives will begin and some will end in your arms. And all that happens in between writes its name on your soul. People will remember you, and you will remember individuals in the work that you do as a nurse. And you will never be the same, and you must make your life meaningful by all that you do and how you do it. That woman was my mother. And finally, as we all witness the sadness of recent events, let the legacy of those children be to us what we need to learn to share on a daily basis, how much we care for others, and how much we love those in our lives, because it can all change so fleetingly. And to all of you, my new colleagues, what an honor to stand next to you. I'm sure that we share a professional bond. There are so many things that my parents said to me when I went off to school, you know, way, way back, 43 plus years ago. Don't try to figure it out, I'm 63. And I often made notes. You're going to recognize some of these from your parents or your colleagues or your husband or your wife or somebody saying these to you. No mistake is unfixable. Any wrong can be righted. Own up to your mistakes. Don't be afraid. Do your best. That's all you can ask. Never worry alone. Be kind to others. My father's words were, tell the truth. Work hard but play too. Be strong. Look out for others. Have fun but behave yourself. Can't you tell that's a parent saying that? Be gentle with God's creatures. Respect people from all walks of life. Be mindful of your words and friends. They define who you are. You will be known in the world by your friends. Don't lie, then you won't have to remember what the story was. Do the right thing. Good things come to those who wait. Take care of yourself. Lies will always come back to you somehow. Change your oil. Eat right and get enough sleep. Don't stay out all night. Don't burn the candle at both ends. Be brave. Make me proud. Call home once in a while. It's okay, I'm here. Let me know you're doing all right, and I will always love you. Let us applaud the faculty for the depth of caring, modeling, and education they provide to exemplify the best in our profession. And in closing, I want to say to you, thank you for the chance to be with you today. What a ride it's been for you, hasn't it? I'm going to say to you what my mother said to me. I'm so proud of you. Two men were cutting stones, and a man walked by and he said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm cutting stones. And he said to the other man, what are you doing? He said, I'm building a cathedral. So I will tell you, build your own cathedral. And Pericles said, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments. It's what's woven into the lives of others. And as a nurse, that's exactly what you do. You are woven into the lives of others. They come in your life and they will leave, but they write their notes on your heart. And as you leave here today, remember, as a Native American blessing, may the sun bring you new energy by day. This is from a Native American I work with. He asked me to say this to you. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the soft breeze blow new strength into your being, and may you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life. You are, you will always be, UMASS.
Now we will start the pinning ceremony. I would like to ask Professor Teresa Roberts to please come forward, and the students who are going to be pinned by Professor Roberts, please stand.
Peterson. Sulamet Changi.
And the students who will be pinned by Professor Jones, please come forward. Angela Tran Bob. Leanne Benson. Henji Follet. Allie Elizabeth Chapin. Peter Gay D. Stacy Demejour. Mary W. Cole. Godwin E. Rugbeck. Colleen Grace McClellan. Angela Judith Marie Newton. Vivian Hu. Emily Ryan. Colleen Jenna Pratt. Ask Professor Janice Spouse to please come forward. And the students who will be penned by Professor Faust. Sue Ben Chen. Carrie Patrice Distance. Cassandra Marie Cushing. Tenzin Davis. Tyler. Sonan Gopi. Caitlin Claire Hazardja. Megan Gwen. Bradley Razor. Ian Sullivan. Alyssa Sue. Christina Vanderklut. Susan Foley Watson. King Wu. Victoria Cervato. I would like to ask Professor Kathleen Capel to please come forward. And the students who will be pinned by Professor Capel. Julie Arthur. Tenzin Arya. Navandeep K. Dillon. Allison Jean Foley. Jennifer Melissa Rivera. Sarah Ann Maki. Ryan McCoulier. Aisha Mariwani. Angela Pasquale. Jillian Pendergrass. Jessica Rand. Christina Marie Shalada. Kendra Seth. Davey Sweat. Amanda L. Fritz. Jennifer Whalen. Katie Elizabeth Waldman. I would like to ask Professor Mary Ellen Yelsky to please come forward. Solon Bedoya. Elizabeth Bratman. Katie Elizabeth Damigella. Christine DeMott. Michelle Nicole Dennis. Claire Fryer. Gretchen Nicole Crosshouse. Luz Denise Guerrero. Melody Flor Tundell. Zara Hussein. Stephanie Elizabeth Hyman. Alicia Lawton. John Michael Lord. Damaris Martinez. Lynn Marks. Jolanda Cackwell. Stephanie Mills. Charles Norton. Dee Bond. Jolanda Anita Simmons. Michael William Steele. Melinda Sudbury. Martina M. Devotion. I would like to ask Professor Diane Shea to please come forward, and the students being hemmed by Professor Shea. Lynette R. Bilodeau. Susan Ann Gordon. Judy Lieberman. Lillian Rivera. I'm being prompted to point out that the stage party are not the only professors and staff members who have contributed to the success and the education of the students. So I would like to have a round of applause, and if there are faculty or staff, please stand so you can be recognized for your efforts in serving and helping. Thank you. Now I would like to introduce the class vice president, Christine Dumont, to lead the pledge.
Hello.
Slow. All right. Come back to the program. With full knowledge of the responsibilities I am undertaking, I pledge to care for my patients with all of the knowledge, skills, and understanding that I possess, without regard to race, color, creed, politics, or social status. I will spare no effort to conserve meaningful life, to alleviate suffering, and to promote health. I will refrain from any actions which might be harmful to the quality of life or health of those I care for. I will respect at all times the dignity and religious beliefs of the patients under my care and hold in professional confidence all personal information entrusted to me. I will endeavor to keep my professional knowledge and skills at the highest level and give my support and cooperation to all members of the health team. With full awareness of my qualifications and limitations, I will do my utmost to maximize the potential of the nursing profession and to uphold and advance its standards.
You forgot to introduce me.
This is the president of our class, the one and only.
I didn't practice my speech, so I'm just gonna talk. When we started Fundamentals of Nursing 2.5 years ago, we all came from different backgrounds. Some of us were coming right from high school into college. Some of us making a career change. Some of us were working in the healthcare field. Some of us didn't even set foot in the hospital. But we all came together from all of our different backgrounds with our different stories with one common goal. The goal to be an advocate, a teacher, a helping hand, a healer, to be a nurse. In what now, looking back, seems like such a short time ago, we have been through so much as a class together, both positive and negative events. We have met lifelong friends, been in each other's weddings, or will be in each other's weddings. We have witnessed pregnancies and births, and academic and personal accomplishments such as passing a class and making it onto the next semester, like we were in Survivor. It's true. And then we have been through the bad times, feeling like we were going to fail and not make it onto the next semester, breakups, deaths of loved ones, and most significantly, the events that occurred at the Boston Marathon almost 2 years ago. Many of you, my classmates, were there, including one of the highly respected professors sitting behind me. While my classmates and professor were there, they worked tirelessly to do what they could to help the wounded and make sure others were safe. One of my classmates shared with us after it was over that she was scared for her life and her mind wanted to run away, but instead she followed her heart and ran to where people needed her without even thinking twice about it, and helped the first person she saw and continued to do so until there was nothing left for her to do. Another one was quoted in the newspaper, and she said, "People knew what they needed to do and they did it in the most professional way possible. I want to be one of those people." These examples are excellent representation of my class as a whole, our eagerness to be on the front lines. And although we came from many different backgrounds and have many different stories, we came together to share our stories and create a new one together under one common goal, to be a nurse, whatever the meaning meant to us. The past few years have been a journey to say the least, and we could not have done it without the patience, knowledge, passion, endurance, the women sitting behind me and the men and women sitting over there. As every time they walked into the classroom or shared their stories in the classroom, or they would run into one of us at the hall, whether we were their current student or a past student. From fundamentals, which provided us the foundation from which we built up, to assessment, med-surg, ethics, maternity, pediatrics. As a class, we want to thank you all for being there for us when we needed you, and even when we thought we didn't, but you knew that we did, and sharing your passion for nursing with us and all of your stories, both good and bad, which we will learn from and take with us in our careers as graduates and for a lifetime. And last but not least, we would not be able to run into the chaos of this profession without the love and support from our families and friends over the last 4 years, or in my case, 8. Sorry, Mom. Listen. I got my degree first, okay? It was not easy for us. I know it wasn't easy for you to be at the front of it. We say it takes a village, so thank you for being part of it. And here is something that we wanted to share with you, our gratitude that we put together as a class. So I'm just gonna play this. And I just want to thank Sarah. She graduated in May from the nursing program.
Thank you.
floor for reception.